All right, welcome to the Retro Sports Gaming Monthly Video Cast. This is October 2017, and I'm here with my two co-hosts, of course, Nick the Commish and TroyGBLAN. And then we got two guests for you today. We got Louis Bunago, and you guys might know him as Mort's brother.
Yeah.
We got Ptitteri, winner of the Pimpin' Ain't Easily Tecmo Super Bowl tournament held back in September. So we're going to talk to these guys and see what they're made of. All right, so let's get into it. Ptitteri, they referred to you as just some guy that came into the tournament. What is it, in Seattle and won? So
I believe DT described me as some asshole that nobody knew.
That's what he says every year.
Exact description. Yeah, well, first of all, huge shout out to DT for organizing the tournament. He really did a great job. And it was a strong field, especially with Mort and Lewis coming out to Seattle. So, just being able to play really top-notch guys in person was a real treat for me. Pretty much play online exclusively, with that exception.
When did you start playing online?
So, obviously, I mean, Tecmo is something I've always loved since I was 10 or 12, like a lot of guys who still play. But I kind of had it on the list of things I wanted to do before I die, sad as it is. I wanted to play at Madison. So this year, my life situation was such that I could finally have time to get out there and play. And I went out and played this year and got my butt just totally kicked and destroyed, as you might expect. So that's when I got really involved online, because I thought, well, I'm going to give myself a year to see how good I can get at this, something I've always loved. And, if I'm ever going to get good, now's the time. So I started joining online leagues and scrounging up games. And I've kind of just been hanging around like an online Tecmo gym rat since April of last year.
nice.
Joey Gatt style. Just get them all in. Yeah, playing online really strengthens the muscle. Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, I mean, the level of competition is just, the guys on there they study the game. Like the mental side of it is really, I've grown to appreciate how important it is to get it really down into the details of formations and player strengths and have all the stats memorized. And then Troy has taught me the value of tapping, even though I still can't.
Oh, so you're not a finesse player. You're a meathead tapper. One of those meathead tappers.
No, I'm not a tapper.
Okay, good.
I guess one was leg. It's always after a JJ too. Somehow my thumb breaks after a JJ. I don't know why.
So it's something that I've had the ability to really dedicate a lot of time and effort to this year. And the Seattle tournament was a great chance to play against really top-notch competition, like Lewis there, who I see staring at me through the webcam. So great experience all the way around.
Did you play Lewis in that tournament?
I did. He was my first game, and he thumped me. I think it was Patriots Colts or something.
Dirty.
Yeah,
That's my feeling that game.
So
if you would have played me in the end of the tournament, I probably would have lost.
I don't know.
I ran out of gas.
He was a strong player, but I had the time zone working for me too, and he was worried he was going to miss his flight. So there was a little bit of a psychological warfare going on there.
Didn't you, Lewis? Didn't you drive out there?
What's that? We were there with my. Yeah, we drove from Chicago. We were going there. We're already in Seattle, so we went to the tournament too.
Oh, gotcha.
My cousin was getting married that weekend in about an hour north of Seattle, so that's why I went to the tournament.
Okay.
So, Pete, what was your road to the championship in that tournament?
Well,
what were your top guys that you went against?
Well, when we got to the elimination tournament, I had to go up against DT and then Mort twice, as it's my last 3 games. And probably my best memory of the tournament is, after the first game with Mort, we took a quick break and we were coming for the double elimination, and Lewis was getting antsy to leave because he had to. You were trying to get down to SeaTac, as I recall. And Mort's like, look, I just got to beat this guy twice and then we'll go. First of all, I thought, yeah, he's probably right. He is probably just going to beat me twice and then they'll go. But that really fired up my competitive juices there. And I was like, man, I gotta make a strong show in here, because obviously he's a fantastic player. And, I wanted to come away from the tournament with the opportunity to play the top guys. That was really my only goal. I wanted to go up against them live and just see if I could hang in there. And, I got some lucky breaks and a Johnny Johnson fumble. And
he never fumbles. Hidden stats.
Yeah, as soon as Tailback King leaves, Johnny Johnson fumbles, ironically.
Yeah. He was so drunk by that point, though, that he may not have noticed, to be fair.
Oh, he was gone by then. He left. He went back to Portland or wherever he rides his bicycle on the side of the freeway in I-5 there or whatever.
No way.
Yeah,
people do that out there.
A real character. My first time.
You'll see people riding their bicycles on the I-5 out there.
That's pretty intense. I ride my bike a lot in Chicago, but there's no one riding on the freeway.
I've seen them there when I've been out on the West Coast.
It's crazy. So yeah, so Lewis, you've been to a lot of Tecmo tournaments in your day, and you've been all over the country. So what motivates you to get all over the place to these tournaments?
I don't know. I was trying to keep up my brother, I guess. He's the one that got me into playing, so.
Oh, did he?
And it's a lot of fun, right? It's always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I love playing Tecmo.
So, when did you become a better player, Lewis? Because I remember, like, way back in the first Madison days, like, Mort was really good.
I didn't even – that was, like, my first time playing the game.
Oh, really?
He taught me all the drills and the game. We'd use quick save states. We use quick save states to go over all the fundamentals in Tecmo.
So you guys didn't grow up playing it?
Yeah, we grew up playing it. We played it in our parents' basement shed.
I see. So what happened? Mort just stuck with it, and then you let it go? And then
I think we stopped playing for a while, and then Mort started playing online when he was like 16, 17. And then he played it for like a while, and then when he went to Madison that one year, I got into it because I realized I was good too back then. I wanted to practice and get better.
Yeah.
So Lewis, you had basically a Tecmo like in-home guru coaching you. Like, that's pretty cool, man. I'd like to see these drills. Like, can you give us an example of a specific drill you did? I'm gonna write this down. Hold on.
We just do that the drill when you get a JJ deflection. Like, you need 2 guys to do this, but it's like how to practice to get a JJ deflection with your man player.
Okay, yeah.
It's like you got to just take your hand off the controller, basically. It's on Mort's blog.
I think I've seen another one where you will try to stop run 3 with the top cornerback or LB1 and try to get to the bottom and just keep repeating that by picking different plays.
Excellent. Very cool.
Yeah, so I'm guessing since Mort got you back into playing Tecmo Super Bowl in the tournaments, there hasn't been a point where you've ever been better at him than in the game.
No, I don't think I'm better at him. I never think like that when I play somebody. Anyways, that's bad when you never should think you're better than somebody that you win. You gotta, if you.
I think we might have lost Lewis there.
He'll be back.
Well, the Tecmo gods really frown on that. The moment you think you're better than someone, you're gonna get put back into your place by the powers that be. I agree.
Real.
They are.
They are real. That's the truth.
There's a lot of brother combos in Tecmo, and I think that helps raise your skill level if you have someone that you could just constantly play, especially if they live in the same house as you.
Yeah.
My younger brothers always played.
Anybody?
Was Lou back?
I don't know.
Lou, get off Pornhub, Lou. Stop streaming it.
Yeah, Troy. Because you're pretty good at Tecmo Super Bowl. Who did you always play with to get better?
So I had played, people in the neighborhood, and just to kind of perspective, I really didn't get into the community until about 2.5 years ago, and I just started. I saw the documentary of NFL Films did on the Madison tournament and the participants, and Lewis and Mortar and that one. And I just thought that was the coolest thing. And I had experience running events of other types, mainly focused around PC gaming and like fighting game tournaments. So I said, well, I think I can do this. And it just turns out that Nate, who runs the Thunder Bowl, literally in my backyard, already kind of did it. But I went ahead and said, well, I want to do this with my LAN party thing and kind of expose my PC crowd to it. So we kind of have our own little cult following. But I realized that once I could beat up on those guys, but then when I'd go to like a place like Thunder Bowl or like Tecmo Milwaukee, where you get just top tier players there, there's just I wasn't in the same league with them. I think the first time I played Coconuts at the Thunder Bowl, it took me, I think, something like 56-0 or maybe 42-0, something. It was absolutely, it was a Steelers Cardinals matchup, and I never thought that was possible with the Cardinals to score that many points. It was pretty embarrassing, and so I poked my head inside the online scene a little bit, and at least at that time, the experience was really lackluster and in my mind laggy. And I came back to it earlier this year. And I know Lewis is trying to show us something. We can't really hear you very well, buddy. But we did get, I started getting into the online play a little bit more and was able to start picking up on some nuanced things just by playing players like Joey Gatz and, Thule and Old Dirty Tecmo, Odell, Brewdog, those guys that are just constant gym rats, as Ptitteri I called it. I played Ptitteri quite a bit, actually. I used to be able to beat you, but not recently. So it's been experience. So I wouldn't call myself good at Tecmo. I would consider myself like a tier 2 guy. I think I've even beat Lewis online once, but local is a different story.
Cool. What about you, Nick?
Oh, for Tecmo, I didn't have any brothers. The next door neighbor, we played it a lot. His brothers had the Tecmo going, so I played that a lot. And then in college, I remember we played a few seasons. And I remember my freshman year, I played this guy, and he was really good. He was like doing the curl routes, and this is like 1999. He's doing the pass 2 shotgun curls. And I'm like, you fucking nerd! I ain't playing with this fucker. I'm doing flea flickers and stuff.
I love that play. I love that all shotgun curls play, except for that. If the running back not going out to the flat, I could do it a lot better because I can double tap to my receivers back and forth.
Oh yeah, no, I that's how I kind of play.
This guy always throws my rhythm off.
Yeah, no, that's the truth. But so yeah, I played that, and then I remember playing a little bit online, like in 2003, but I just didn't get what was going on. And then once I had my first kid, and like softball and bowling leagues went out the door. That's when I got online and started playing a lot more because I was just, shipwrecked at home with kids.
Shipwrecked.
Struggle is real, man. Third BB. Just keep it around every night.
Now, see, let me give you guys a tip. Once your son, if you have a son, Once he's about 7 or 8, you just start firing up the Tecmo.
Oh yeah, there we go.
So my son is he's 10 now, and he's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
So he was I was out of the country for a few years, and he was my playing buddy while I was gone. So if you can't find a partner, just grow one from scratch.
They let you play. They let you play Tecmo in prison. Is that
it's contraband, but
oh, okay. You gotta smuggle it in.
Well, that's cool. You got your son into
the cartridge has to be painful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, we're having a tournament here in Portland on December 9th. For anybody who wants to come out, if you're listening, or hey Lewis, come on out, man. You guys can stay in my house.
Oh, I don't think I can't make it this time, brother. I wish I could.
So I'm hoping to get my son entered in that one if we can get it in an environment that kids are allowed. I think he could do some damage. He's got those young thumbs,
Derek Rubel's kid played in a tournament once.
Yeah, there's precedent.
He won.
Was it New York?
New York City.
Wow.
So Pete, your son's a tap.
Remember, he almost beat me when I was playing too. Just a pickup game. I can lose to anybody though. It's not much of an accomplishment.
We don't buy it, Lewis. If you guys don't know, Lewis is a top-notch player, so you need to just disregard that last comment.
I don't know. Seriously, sometimes I don't know. I can beat Chet and regulator when I play someone like I don't know everyone, but sometimes I'll just have a bad game. You just have that one bad game in a tournament, and it just wrecks you. It's enough. That's what I think.
Yeah, that happens. Happens to the best of them. All right, so let's move on to some topics here.
Yeah. Discussion
topics. So what do you guys know about retro sports game hacks? Something like, that the ones that come out on TecmoBull.org, like the 2018 version. There's been updated hacks at NBA Jam, and then there's just other carts that are being made for Nintendo, Sega Genesis. I think there's some NHL ones. So
there's one that just came out literally it's been announced about 40 minutes ago by Slapshot67 and Skip on NHL94.com. They do have the Vegas Golden Knights with logos and everything in there. Looking forward to download that. I've been anxiously waiting that arrival. So 94 gets hacked every year, and they do a great job with it.
So Troy, would you say you're a fan of that then?
I'm a fan of the attempt. As always, with all those kinds of ROM hacks, it's always up to the interpretation of those that put the ROM hack together. So a lot of times different gameplay mechanics can get modified. So the core game isn't what it was. If you're a big nostalgia guy, like for me, it's always original Tecmo. I like the idea of seasons and ROM hacks for kind of messing around, but ultimately it always brings you back to the original game.
Yeah. The thing with these hacks, one thing, it's friggin' amazing that they can do this stuff. We're wasting a lot of brain power on old video games when they could be curing cancer, But no, I mean, obviously the Tecmo stuff is great, like J-Style, Brewdog, Buck, those guys. And then just being able to track the stats, playing online. I know those guys can do the online. That's something with the emulators. And then NHL is great too. That Slapshot, Skip, Naples, King Raff, Coach Mac, Max Hacks, W Boy, just throwing out names so they keep on hacking. Actually, King Raff is doing a NHL 95 one now, so I'm pretty pumped about that because I can barely cut and paste in Word. And then there's that guy Baron Von Lechter. He does a bunch of hacks like RBI baseball. NBA jams, as well as that other guy who did the NBA jam. So it's amazing what those guys do. Hats off to them. And then there's all those crazy Mario and Sonic hacks and everything else.
Yeah, it's the interesting thing, at least with the Tecmo Super hacks, to me is, I'm not that interested in playing Tecmo 18, for example. Like, a lot of guys, you invest a lot of time and effort into understanding the original rosters and the original players and stuff. So it's disorienting to play on a different ROM. But what I really do like is what like the GTFO League has done and the WTF League has done, where they're using the modified ROMs to have a dynasty style league, where new players are constantly coming in and there's aging and games.
That's cool.
So it just adds a whole other dimension of, you have to be a good GM as well as a good Tecmo player. And it adds a depth of, I guess not realism, but it adds another skill set to the experience. And it's really a lot of fun. So, if you're modding the game to be able to add extra layers and extra, extra pieces of the experience to be involved in, I think it's really cool. But I typically don't play a hacked ROM just because Aaron Rodgers is in it instead of Joe Montana. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. That grapple hack they did for Tecmo, I kind of like, since I can't tap for worth a damn, so you can actually, out tap a few guys if you got Tom Rathman running it or whoever.
Yeah,
that was cool.
It levels the playing field a lot. If you have Ronnie Lott, which I do in the GTFO, even though I'm not a super fast tapper, I can still take down most running backs without, my wife.
They got the auto smush in that one, or did they take that out?
I'm sorry, the what?
The auto smush, where if he's 69 and he hits a quarterback, he just pancakes him, or does he still have to tap?
Haven't seen that one, so.
They used to when they first did the hack. If you're big enough, you would just flatten them. You wouldn't even get a tap motion. It was really, I think they nerfed it down because it was just too strong.
Yeah, that's the only thing I guess worse than hearing somebody talk about their fantasy football team is hearing somebody talk about their Tecmo Super Bowl team. But one interesting thing about league play and the modified rosters is it forces you to adapt to a wide variety of styles, because guys build their team to their own strengths. So guys like Baxter comes to mind. He'll build up these monster linebackers, just these unbelievably fast, strong linebackers. And, you have to be able to adapt to a style of play you wouldn't even really see in an original game unless a linebacker was an excellent or something. So having one of those guys be able to pancake the quarterback probably would be a little too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you guys, so we know that the hacks exist. So have you guys ever actually bought any of the physical cartridges and played them that way?
No, I haven't.
No.
I don't even have a machine. I mean, I'm 100% emulator.
Wow.
Really?
I have a litany of consoles and CRTs and controllers and the whole bit, but ultimately the cost to have someone do that for you and have it only last a year, and with the amount of tournaments you have, you'd have to charge a lot more for a tournament or take a massive loss to justify it. Or you'd have to have a very long tournament. Well, people waited a long time to do that. And the demand just isn't there. Most Tecmo nuts want to play original.
I bit the bullet and bought one of those, what is it? It's like an EverDrive for Nintendo where you can load all the Nintendo games on one cartridge. So I did that. I haven't loaded all the games on yet, so it's just been sitting there. But I did shell out some money to some guy in Russia. They delivered it. It was amazing.
Well, first of all, you're probably supporting somebody hacking our financial system. So thank you for that.
Exactly. I don't know why I had to. Yeah, exactly.
Equifax, look at this guy, Commish, Equifax.
Yeah, exactly.
So DT had a couple of those at the Seattle tournament, which was really fun, actually. So he set up, because it was Pimping 8 Easley, in honor of Easley, the strong safety for the Seahawks. He set up a couple of Seahawks custom ROMs, which was pretty cool, including 1984 Seahawks versus.
He just made the Ring of Honor, didn't he?
I'm sorry?
Easley just made the Ring of Honor, didn't he?
I don't see why he wouldn't be.
I think that was part of why he was honored, because I think he was just. I mean, the tournament was named that because I think he was just honored. I'd have to double check that.
My playbook
is.
With Lou showing us. That old Playboy, Lou? You're coming through. It's hard to see.
This is an epic 2 frames a second.
He's back. What is it, Lou? What do you got there?
It's a playbook a friend of mine made years ago.
And he's gone.
All the stats and stuff of the game. I wrote some notes.
Nice.
This is the real deal right here.
Yeah.
Watching those feed is like the days when you try to get HBO to come in when the signal was bad, and every third or fourth frame it would come in.
Oh yeah, it was HBO you were doing, that porn. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I always love watching Veep on Scramble.
Yeah, I'm for this, so.
There was I think it was 13 Tecmo Super Bowl 13. I bought a couple of the carts, and we played that game at like the Christmas Eve tournament that we do every year with the family.
Yeah.
So I bought 2 of those. One I think was like the official one that the guys released, and another one was other people do it too. So there's certain companies that will actually take a old crappy game like John Elway's Quarterback.
Yeah.
And open
Yeah, I
it
like
up.
that game.
Okay, well,
Okay.
yeah, okay. Well, that's a topic for another day. But
The best part of the John Elway Quarterback, he's holding a controller weird in his, like, he's got the helmet on. If you look at the actual game, he's holding it like this, like he's playing. It's upside down. It's worth a gander.
yeah, but yeah. So we played those for that year, and it was pretty cool to have like the updated 32 teams. But the thing was, after we played the tournament, we didn't really. I didn't go back to it too much.
Yeah.
You go back to the original because that's what you have nostalgia for. And if you are going to go play in any tournaments, that's the one you need to be good at. Now, if there is a tournament scene that pops up with some of the newer games, that would be cool. Maybe someone will try to do a tournament like that. And then there could be a little bit more popularity with the ROM hack.
Mm-hmm.
So
look how he's holding it.
We did one like that.
Guys, I think Lewis is tripping balls.
I think
This is better than any of the interviews, honestly. This is amazing.
I think somebody's auto-tuning Lewis there. It's like kind of doing a Kanye West thing.
Yeah.
I think it's more like Icon.
T-Pain.
T-Pain, there it is.
I'm on a podcast.
Lewis, we couldn't hear what you were saying. But anyways, I got so I was looking at some of these games that people make, and there's actually one that someone made. It's, you guys familiar with bags or cornhole?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a game that someone made using the NES Power Pad.
Okay.
So it's an actual cartridge. It's called Tailgate Party, and you put it in the Nintendo. It keeps score for you, and then you use the NES Power Pad as like the actual board.
Oh, very cool.
So let me see if I have a couple.
Yeah, definitely.
I just when I saw it, I just pictured Nick like up there in Minnesota during the winter with like on the NES Power Pad, just throwing bags. That's what I figured.
Everyone played track and field, which coincidentally is just a reskin version of the rare cartridge stadium events.
Yeah.
But everyone just smashed their hands on the bottom.
Sorry about that. Oh man, I don't think this is the one that it just shows the title screen. Maybe this is it.
The crazy thing is the amount of work they got to put in to do that. You know, I mean, that's got to be a week's worth of time just to mess around to reprogram a game, at least, you'd think.
Well, here, I'll just I'll share the screen real quick and just show you what the Nintendo screen looks like. And then you could picture throwing the bags on the power pad, and that's what actually calculates it. But let me share the screen real quick. Show this to you guys. All right.
Uh-huh.
All right, let me play it. Just give you Give you a few seconds of it.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness.
Andy Jones versus Nick the Commish. I could see it now.
I love it. I love it.
Cam Newton didn't know that Ellie Mays could play cornhole.
What did they hack this from? Do you know?
You know, this one's not even a hack. It's just someone made the game, you know.
Oh wow.
Homebrew.
Wow.
Yeah, so
I still say Family Feud. Playing Family Feud is the best game for a drunken crowd, though.
Is that multiple choice, or do you have to like actually type everything in on the Family Feud? Like, so you have to type in like whatever the answer
Yeah, you
is.
gotta type it in and get it all right spelling. Because I played at the 8-bit bar.
I think Funny Bot
Blue
is
sounds
broken
exactly
again.
like he does that when he was at Burning Mart.
After a fifth of vodka.
Lewis,
Yeah.
breaking up.
And there was this drunken crowd just like cheering us on and telling us the wrong answers and stuff.
We're gonna have a new podcast called Trippin' Balls.
Hey,
Lewis, you're breaking up a little bit. Try just not sharing your video and just share your voice. See if you get better connection that way.
All right.
All right. So that is that. So retro sports game hacks, I think they're pretty cool. I also got an NBA Jam one. What was it? 2K17.
Mm-hmm.
It was one my brother found in Canada. So someone made the ROM. It was like Hogs.
Yeah, Hogs with a blog.
Yeah, Hogs with the blog. They're the ones that made the game. And then someone just put it on a cart and they were selling it in a retro game store in Canada. So he picked that up for me. It was pretty cool. The one thing that sucked about it is you couldn't use the options menu. So whatever they did on the hack, if you go to the option menu, it just like goes to a black screen. You got to reset the system. So that's one thing that sucks. So yeah, but retro game hacks, I think they're cool. They're maybe not for everybody, but it's cool that they keep making Nintendo games, Sega games. So there's new stuff that actually comes out by, you know, whether it's a single guy developing or small company, the games are still coming out. All right, so let's move on to the next topic here. Retro sports gaming versus fantasy sports. And I think this is a good topic for us because this is obviously a retro sports gaming video cast podcast. So we like playing these games, and I don't know if you guys like playing fantasy sports at all, but
I do.
You do, Lou? All right, so I'll start with Lou. So you like playing fantasy sport. You like playing at least Tecmo Super Bowl, maybe some other sports games. I mean, which one would you choose? Which one do you think is better?
And fantasy. But yeah, I'm not going to win a bunch of money playing Tecmo, but I just do it for fun.
Right.
Fantasy more for money, pretty much. People.
Is anyone hearing what he's saying? I'm not getting any of it.
I'm not getting it.
I get about every third word, I think.
I'm getting little bits and pieces. So, Troy, I'll move on to you. Do you play fantasy sports?
Yes, I'm in 2 fantasy football leagues and then 2 hockey leagues as well.
Oh, 2 hockey leagues. Okay, so which one would you choose?
I would choose the retro sports just because it's something that is a little more social. While fantasy sports is awesome, it's something that's, I mean, you set your lineups, you do some research, and you walk away, whereas and you're kind of at the subject of that season to do it. So I don't get into baseball that much. So the rest of the year, what would you do? So if I had to say I can't do one anymore, I would say I'd put the fantasy sports on the shelf and stick with the retro sports gaming.
All right, cool. What about you, Nick?
Oh, I couldn't give them. I couldn't give them both up. That's what I do when I have time when I'm not working at work. I got to go out. Either I got to look at the retro sports board or I got to check my fantasy football lineup. So I'd have to work a whole lot more if one of those took out of my spot. I don't know. It's hard, I guess. It's tough. I guess I'd say I'd stay with retro because fantasy football kind of ruins football games a little bit because you're cheering for Jason Witten and only Jason Witten and not Des Bryant, or you still might want the Packers to win, but Witten's got to score. And so I can see, even though I love fantasy football, I could see it if I didn't have it with me, I could enjoy games for the purity again, and just gambling on it, just one game.
I just wish it was the other way around. Like you could win a bunch of money playing Tecmo instead of fantasy sports. I did hit big on DraftKings once.
You did? How much?
$1,000.
Damn.
Nice.
I beat out 27,000 people in a tournament once.
Who was your guy that you picked that nobody else picked that got you through there?
Rashard Matthews.
Ah.
Crockett Gilmore. A couple guys in the Raiders, and Allen Robinson had 3 touchdowns.
Oh, there we go.
Crazy. And I won because Tony Romo got hurt in that game. Everyone was on the shootout in this one game, and I just didn't have anybody in that game. I got lucky.
Mm-hmm.
But playing Tecmo is better. It's more fun and more, There's guys like in fantasy who travel to tournaments just like us. Like I was hearing on the show that Jeff Mans does. He's like a fantasy expert. They have live events kind of like us.
Yeah.
Really?
And it's kind of like the same setup, but we're not playing for less money. We're doing it more for fun.
Yeah. The in-house fantasy auction drafts are one of the favorite days of the year. Where
those are cool.
Where everybody's talking shit and drinking much and all that stuff.
And Pete, you made a comment about fantasy sports earlier, so I kind of think I know what the answer is from you.
I don't think you do. How presumptuous of you, first of all. So this is not a hypothetical for me. I gave up fantasy sports. I found that it significantly reduced my enjoyment of football in general for the reasons that you guys were discussing. And I was real grouchy when my fantasy team lost, which I was like, and you just don't have that much control over the outcome. Maybe if you're like a super hardcore player, but playing Tecmo was like, it's a craft. The reason we keep coming back to it is because you want to feel like you're slowly gaining mastery over that craft. And playing fantasy just felt like playing roulette, where I was basically always unhappy at the end of it. So I gave it up, and I've never looked back. And honestly, I don't miss it.
Wow.
So there you go. Was that the answer you were expecting, or did I go the other way on you?
No, that's what I was expecting.
Oh, okay.
I'm just reading something from the chat. I'm Flo85 says, one, you can't hear Lou at all. I think we all know that. And then he says that Tecmo is fantasy, or better than fantasy for sure. There shouldn't even be a question. I say this as I check my fantasy scores.
Fuck that guy. Fuck that Flo.
Yeah, I feel kind of the same way as Pete about it. I haven't played in a fantasy league for money in years. I found the outcome was either the person who didn't know jack and just updated their roster every week would sometimes win the league, or it'd be the guy who's like on the waiver wire every hour. So it's like, how am I going to compete with that guy? He's always checking it. And I don't know, maybe that's you, Nick. Maybe.
That totally is me.
I never want to be the guy running
is spend like all my money on 3 guys and then fucking work that waiver wire.
Stars and scrubs. Stars and scrubs.
Yep.
Yeah, so I do have one league that my uncle asked me to play in. That's just for fun, and I barely check my roster. But I think I liked fantasy sports a lot. Probably when they first started doing like the Yahoo Fantasy leagues. But then I ran a flag football league for 8 years here in Chicago, like independent flag football league. And we had like a draft before each season. So players would always change what team they were on. So, and we would keep stats. We would update the website. So everyone had stats for like touchdown passes, touchdowns, interceptions, and sacks. And then, but when we were on the field, like all the guys would talk about is fantasy. And it's like they're doing something. They're actually physically doing something, and we're playing for money too in these flag football leagues. But yet they're more focused on the fantasy sports, and I'm just like, there's something wrong with this picture here. Like you're not engaged in your own reality. I don't know. So that kind of started it for me, and then I never got back into it. But I have bet on Bovada, so I can't say that I don't do any fantasy type stuff. I just don't like the day-to-day roster changes. Just too much for me. But I don't know. So there's obviously some different ways that people feel about that. That's why we brought it up. We found out Nick's a big fantasy guy. He can't choose between the two. Troy loves his retro sports game. Pete's like me and Lou. He wins big on DraftKings. So, all right. Go ahead. All right. So let's go. All right. I'm gonna go on this next topic. I can't hear what Lou's saying. So yeah, we usually talk about the past tournaments, and there really hasn't been much in the way of past tournaments besides the big one in Vegas, the NHL 94 tournament. And we want to talk to Mikey and Daryl again, maybe some of the possible winners. So we're going to go over this real quick on the results. Troy, do you have the results? I have them right here.
I do.
Okay, if you want to go over them, go right ahead.
Okay. So there were 2 different brackets for the different consoles because the versions are different from one another. So for the Sega Genesis, coming in 3rd place is EA, also known as Eric, and then King Raff, who is the Guinness World Book of World Records holder on the amount, the biggest blowout in a Genesis game. He came in 2nd. And then the 2-time defending champion of King of 94, Wisconsin, Angry J 93, took the title home in the Sega division. And know those guys. They're just it's like watching Regulator and Gats go to work with NHL 94. Had a chance to watch it live on the stream. Very entertaining, very competitive. The last game got away a little bit from King Raff, but the other games were much closer. And then in the Super Nintendo bracket, an unknown Jamil H takes first, and then Bob Kadelsky, 26, has 2nd place, and then Chris M is 3rd. Bob Kadelsky, 26, is a top-tier player, and is a very memorable moment. The game goes into overtime, and the goalie is pulled away manually after he tries to clear the puck, and a quick return shot ends the game from just inside the blue line. The goalie was out of position, could not get back in, and immediately Jamil starts running around, pop champagne. Between the 2 tournaments, there was something like $10,000 in play.
Wow.
So it was a big purse.
Wow.
It was big money.
Right?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
That's yeah, it's pretty amazing. I was shipwrecked at home, and I watched like 3.5 hours of it, I think. And it was just a blast. All those guys are, good guys. They're good guys. That the guy who came in 3rd, EA, small world in the retro gaming. Like 7 years ago, one of our Segathon guys cuts hair in Chicago now, and he's like, "Yeah, I lost to some dude in a Camaro." I'm like, "What?" And it turned out to be that EA guy. So yeah, he's a ringer.
Why is he EA? Does he like work for EA Sports, or is that just
I
what
think
he
it's his initials. I think it's like Eric Anthony or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And then that King Raph has like every world record for goals scored. So he's
except for the PAL, which is held by Mikey McBrien, who was the guy that funded the tournament. He's the star of Ice Pilots. We had him on that last show. So, but yeah, between I tell you, Raph is pure filth, and when it came to just Angry J was better at that game. It's unbelievable watching those guys go to work. They do moves
great. When you have like people talking on the feed and like doing the color like they do at Tecmo Madison, I think that really increases the love for the game and people watching it when you can watch it and have people breaking it down while it's going. Top notch for those guys.
Okay. So, yeah, Nick, what did you like that you saw on the stream that day?
Well, they had that settle it on the screen, right, Troy? Isn't that the?
Yep, that's a Twin Galaxy show. Yep.
Yeah, and so they were talking the whole time, having fun. Mikey and that Arda Ocal, who does the Madison Square Garden network and does like Devils, sideline reporting and stuff, came in and were making a lot of fun. It was just fun. They break down the game and then they talk. You got to talk about the nostalgia. It's just fun that these guys, there's no names on the players, and they're having all these random matchups, and they'll settle on the screen. Guys can still call out, random guys on Hartford and Boston, and just by the numbers, it was impressive.
Yeah, they got a little more serious once that got back into bracket play or deeper in bracket play, especially when Halifax got on. Early on in the broadcast, they were talking about things like stripper darts, and it finally got locked or wrangled in, but. For a while, they were just talking, and you had no idea what was actually happening in the game if you weren't a big fan of it. Like you didn't know who players were. So once that happened, then it was very nice to have them. Initially, they were just kind of horsing around on stream, while there was actually some really good competition going on.
Yeah,
so it was nice to see them get that circled around and get that improved.
When I was looking at it, they were just talking some random stuff, but they were having guests on. That's what they were doing, right?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. But yeah, it wasn't like there wasn't always play-by-play the whole time. Yeah, so that was the difference. But yeah, it was still really cool, I thought, and hopefully you could get Mikey and Daryl on soon whenever they're ready. I found out that the Canadian Thanksgiving is tomorrow?
Something like that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So they're
because they get like 8 feet of snow in October, so they got to do it early, I suppose.
You mean in November?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
All right, so let's move on to the upcoming tournaments. So upcoming tournaments, we got a lot of Tecmo Super Bowl tournaments coming up, as you could imagine. October 21st, there's one in New York City, Tecmo Super Bowl tournament, Ravens Head Public House, Astoria, New York. So that is this month, 2 weeks away. And then November 4th, I believe this is the Who's Next? Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Boomers Sports Bar and Grill. And then we have on November 11th, there's a couple tournaments, but we're going to talk to Lou in a second about his. But there's one in Iowa Tecmo 4, the Keg Stand. That's where it's at. That's not what the tournament's called, I don't think. That's what I've written down. Des Moines, Iowa. And then November 18th, 2017, we got the King's Cup, Spring Hill Suits 500 Westgate Business Center in Fish Hill, New York. So those are some upcoming tournaments. So if you're into Tecmo Super Bowl, those are all Tecmo Super Bowl retro sports gaming tournaments. And you could find more information about those on tecmobull.org. And Lou, we're going to talk to you about your NES/Sega retro Olympic all-around tournament. This tournament's really interesting to me because you're bringing in not only a lot of sports games, but a couple things like fighting games, Mega Man, Super Mario Brothers. So as long as we can hear you, let's talk about this tournament.
He is no longer in the chat, I don't think.
He's not?
He is gone.
Oh, jeez.
Lou, where'd you go?
I'll go over it briefly for him here. So what Lou's trying to do with this tournament? It's in Buffalo. If he comes back on, he can tell us exactly where it's at. But it's an all-around tournament. So I think what he was saying is in Buffalo, when him and Mort were trying to throw tournaments, they were having trouble getting people just to come play Tecmo Super Bowl because they're like, you guys are just too good. We don't want to like allow playbook changes and all this stuff. So, he came up with a different way of doing it where, Tecmo Super Bowl is just one of the games you play in the tournament. There's RBI Baseball for Nintendo, Super Mario Brothers 3, Mega Man 2. So there's just like you play the first level, like a time trial, stuff like that. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, that's a popular boxing game. Tetris. So Tetris is another one. Everyone knows Tetris. Troy, you awake over there or what?
Absolutely.
You look like you're
I'm rocking my chair. I'm sorry. Is that?
Yeah, you're rocking us all to sleep. No. So Lou, I'm talking about your tournament right now. So where exactly is the tournament? And I think we lost him again. And then, so he's also having Sega Genesis there, 2 fighting games, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter 2, NHL 95. You chose to go with that over NHL 94.
Hell yeah.
And then NBA Jam TE. So
great game.
Basically, you play short single elimination tournaments or time trials in the non-sports games. And then, he has basically like a point system that will determine the winner. I think he's paying out first, second, and third. Entry level is not much at all, so it's perfect for people that are local or in that northeast area. He needs to upgrade from 56. The chat says Lou needs to upgrade from 56K. That's Flo. That's what Flo said. But yeah, so it's a different concept. Even people who aren't interested in sports games, like if they're just interested in Super Mario Bros.
If you had a Nintendo Sega growing up, I think it's a great idea. We do that once in a while. We used to call it the Bush League games at our place, and everybody would have to drink Bush Light, and we'd just have random games like that. And then there'd always be like, a 100-yard dash, and then you got to, shotgun a beer as well. But no, I think it's great because I think we get a little too intense on sometimes we're so good at Tecmo that you can't get normal people to enjoy the game because it's just played at such a high level. And doing Mario and all those things, that I think it'll be good. It'll be a good fun time.
Yeah. And, the thing about retro games is there's way more crossover between platformers and RPGs and sports games. Like, I feel like people played everything when they were kids, and now I don't. The games are so deep, like involved, so sophisticated. It's like you almost have to choose which games you're going to play if you're going to be good at them.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you're either just a sports gamer or you're a first-person shooter or you're doing, the World of Warcraft stuff. There's not as much crossover as I think there was in the glory days of retro gaming.
Back in our heyday.
Yeah.
Save up for months to get a Nintendo game. That sucked, probably. You never even played it. You put it in, like, fucking, this sucks, this game.
Yeah. But you also didn't have the internet, so you might save up for that game, and then it's just a piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, oh, my God. But thank God there was Funko-Land.
Oh, I love Funko-Land.
Trade it right in, get something better.
So tell me more about this Mortal Kombat tournament. I'm interested in this just because I I don't know anyone that can beat me at it.
Well, it's only one of the games that they're playing at the
There's
tournament.
one Mortal Kombat 1, not 2.
Yes, the first one. So I think there's 8 fighters in that game. So it's just a single elimination tournament. I don't think there's any restrictions on who you can choose. So, it's a fighting game. So a single elimination tournament will go like that.
All right, pop quiz, Troy. Name them all. Quick, name them. Quick.
We have Johnny Cage, Kano, Sonya, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Liu Kang.
Was that 8? Or am I wrong about there being
7.
8?
It's actually 7.
Oh, okay. I thought I knew it was something like that. But yeah, so it should be an interesting tournament if you're in the area. There you are, Lou.
Yeah.
Yeah. I already talked about your tournament, but I want to know where is the tournament and when does it start?
November 11th, 11 a.m.
Yes.
in Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
New York, I think I got.
I think Max Headroom has made his way into the chat.
Yes. And yeah, you could find out more information about his tournament on tecmobowl.org. That's where he has the information of the tournament. So check that out. And yeah, if you want to participate in it, I think it's $10 at the door, right? You don't have to pre-register.
Yeah, just bring $10. Anybody who wants to go to this, we're probably going to go the next day too.
Cool. All right, so we only have one more thing left on the Retro Sports Gaming Monthly video cast today. But is there any other topics that you guys want to talk about briefly, or?
There's another tournament October 14th. It's an NHL 94 tournament in Hartford, Connecticut. It looks like the Retro World Expo, and there might be other games going on as well. So that's coming up real soon.
And is that like a gaming convention?
I think so. I think that if I remember right, there might be more than just that. But don't go on NHL 94. It's on there.
Okay. So there's.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Troy.
I was just going to say, and if I can go ahead now and officially announce this, that we're still working on the dates, but it's going to be likely one of the last 2 weekends in February. King of 94, Wisconsin, Part 3.
Fun.
A flurry of goals is going to be held at a VR arcade, virtual reality arcade in Green Bay that will be open. It's an unnamed business that's in the process of being planned and will be implemented by the end of January. And so that'll be an extra just cherry on top of all the action. So that is the plan for end of February. And hopefully by the next podcast, we'll actually be able to announce the exact date and all the other pertinent details.
Did you just say Green Bay's getting a beercade?
Not a beercade, a virtual reality arcade.
Okay.
Like Lawnmower Man?
Well, I don't think it makes us any smarter.
There's the Segathon top brass are in heated negotiations right now for our Ryder Cup that we normally hold in the fall, where we have the top 4 players that graduated in 1998 against the top horrible 4 players from 1997. We've been doing this for years, and the loser has to buy a keg for the actual Segathon. It's the funnest, like a team event, or the fun. It's kind of like Burning Mart in a way. Everybody plays everybody once. You get the teams. It's a blast. But it's a small one. But it's one of the funnest ones. Like a Ryder Cup style is the best.
And then I'm looking at the chat right now. It looks like Daryl King of 94. He says the Hartford tournament is being run by the guys from NHL94.com, Chaos and King Graph. So that's a retro gaming convention. So if you want to, retro gaming convention, that's something new that's been popping up probably like the last 3 or 4 years. They have like panels, guys get together, they sell their games. So people bring arcade games there. So it's a great place for any kind of retro gamer, really.
Yeah, it's neat. I went to one. The Millard's Mayhem was a video gaming convention, and it was a fun time. And I also just felt very athletic there. And I'm not an athlete at all.
Oh, very athletic. Did you buy anything while you were there?
No. I was helping Chris run it, and then I had a bunch of jam. I was doing a side jam thing, so I didn't have much time to buy anything. But I was playing guys' games that they had made. There was an area where game developers you could play, and there's a lot of like cosplay stuff. People dressed like orcs or something. So.
Pete, have you ever been to one of these retro game conventions? Because you're in like a hot area for it.
Yeah, I'm just so new to this whole scene that I mean, the only thing I've ever been to is Madison last year and Pimpin' Ain't Easily, and I would tell either of those conventions. So hopefully in the next year or so, I'll be a little more hip to what's going on. I'd love to play some RBI baseball with somebody. I heard that one bounce around. That was a fantastic game. I do want to give a quick shout out for our tournament on December 9th here in Portland. It's going to be a combined Northwest Seattle-Portland tournament here. So if you happen to be in the Northwest, that's on techmobile.org as well. And it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'd love to get out there. You guys are good shits. It's a good group of guys out there.
Yeah, come on out. It'll be fun.
Well, I'll see. I'm going to have to get divorced first, but who knows?
Again?
Hey, do what you got to do.
Last thing for the NHL 94 tournament in Connecticut is it's free entry for the tournament as long as you.
That's awesome.
Convention. So go ahead, try it out. If you hear this, go ahead, try that out.
Last shout out. I got a shirt given to me by some Canucks. They run an NHL 95 tournament, so they gave me one of their shirts because I'm so good at stuff. So anybody listen there want to give me a free T-shirt? Go ahead. I like shirts.
All right. So last thing, I am running a tournament next week. Well, it's not even a week now. It's Saturday. So this Saturday.
Big swing and dick tournament, man. It's all studs there.
Yeah, the Equalizer tournament. It's a little bit different on how we are grouping the players. We're grouping the players by their skill level. So the top players are all in the top group, and then it moves on from there. So I'm going to reveal the seeding for it right now. We want 20 players still in the tournament. Right now we have 16. If that's what it ends up being, it'll be fine. So this is still subject to change, but the tournament's been pinned on techmobile.org for 4 months. So there might be a few stragglers. I know Joey Gatz and Hank the Tank just dropped out, but we still got 16 going. So
they're scared. Scared. That's what's happening. They're scared.
Yeah, it's obviously not for everybody. Typically the way it works is, you get seeded. If you're a first seed, you're going to get, second, third, and fourth. You should be better than all of them. But this isn't going to be the case. Like, you're going to get stiff competition right off the bat. So I'm going to start. So we have 6 teams. We still could have we have 16 players. We still could have 5 groups, but I'm going to start with Group 4. So Group 4 is the first seed in Group 4, and the seeds don't really matter. It just matters what group you're in. That's what's going to matter most because you're playing all those guys anyways. But Phil N is actually one of the owners of D-Men Tap. We've been playing there now Monday Night Football for a couple months. So we'll be streaming live tomorrow. Some of our practice games, but he's a good player. He's the owner of the bar. I don't think he's played in a tournament yet, so I don't think we should break him in too hard. So Group 4, he's going to be the first seed in there. Second seed is Shella Bay. He's a local Chicago guy, and he's from Troy's Discord chat, and Troy's played him online before.
I got to fill you guys in on this. So talk about a guy that's improved quickly. The first time I ever played him was probably in April of this year. I actually literally broke the scoreboard when I played him. And now, I mean, he has beaten me in the last, 60 days or so. He's turned around his game that much and just put his just decided that he's going to be better and plays everyone he can. He's a little interesting with some of his. We actually created a channel for him called Tinfoil Hat Wearers. He's a big conspiracy theory guy, but when he gets down to it and you get into a game, he's actually pretty decent.
Yeah, good player. Play with him quite a bit.
Yeah, so this would be his first tournament as well. So, that's why he's in Group 4. And then the next two players, Matt Stanky's my brother. So if you watch the channel, you've probably seen him quite a bit. I call him Lumberjack Cracks just because his nickname is Cracks, and he looks like a lumberjack because he wears flannels all the time. He doesn't like to shave. He's played at Tecmo Madison before, Tecmo Madison 6. He didn't do well, but he's a solid player. And then the last guy is my friend Joey Ventus. He's went to a few different tournaments with me, a couple Madisons, and I believe the Chicago tournament that Odell threw. And he also has not fared too well. So
to describe this is kind of like the Horizon Conference in college football right there. You did right now. We're not at Big Ten's like the top or SEC. This is like a small MAC school or something like that you just did, right?
Yeah, there's some talent there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, this is still a solid group of guys that are playing. Like, my brother could probably beat me 1 out of 5 times, 1 out of 10 times, somewhere in that range. So he can beat me. He's a good player, and so there's all experience in Group 4. So let's move on to Group 3. So, before I talk about Group 3, I did get some information from QB Browns and the Tecmo Bowl forums. Johnny Bailey, he gave me some info on seeding, so I'm factoring in that as well in grouping these players. So I'm actually the first seed in Group 3. I just wasn't good enough to cut it in Group 2. Overall, I'm like 9-7 at Madison. The last 2 years have been 3-2. Yeah, every tournament I've played in, except for Madison 7, I think, I've made it to like, well, actually, no, the last 2 years we had a winning record, but I didn't make it to the actual bigger tournament. But I'm going to be the first seed there. Second seed is going to be Dan Slatterly. He's an experienced. What's that?
It's DPS, Dan Patrick Slattery.
Yes, Dan Patrick Slattery. He's an experienced player. He's like, I think he said he's like 22-20 all time. So he's got a winning record. He's played in a lot of tournaments. So he's going to be in my group as well. And then third seed's Joseph Moore. He's Green Magic on the forums. He was a second seed at Tecmo Madison. I think he won a game or two. And he's also been playing with me in all the tournaments at Michael Anthony's and then at D-Men on Monday nights. So he's a pretty good player too. And then the last fourth seed is actually my cousin, Sean Cunningham. No relationship to Randall Cunningham. But Sean actually, he has mixed results at tournaments. I know the first Madison he went to he advanced to the bigger tournament and lost first round. Then the next Madison, he went 0-3. But then he went to the last Tundra Bowl with me this year, and he advanced to the bigger tournament, but he lost in it. So he has mixed results. So he's going to round out the group at 4th seed. Now, Group 2. This is where things are getting hardcore. You're getting some real talented Tecmo players in these last 2 groups. So it's going to be fun to see how it turns out. I have the equipment to actually stream Group 1 and Group 2 that day of the tournament. So I plan on streaming Group 2 on Twitch, Retro Sports Gamer Tom. I'm going to use my phone as a hotspot. And
gonna look like Lou. Gonna sound like Lou.
No, you know what? It's not that bad. I'm gonna test it again, but the streams we've been doing at D-Men are with the owner's phone as a hotspot. It looks perfect. So I think it'll be all right because we have good LTE coverage here in Chicago. But Group 2, The first seed is James Kuhn, and he's a guy that 18-9 overall at Tecmo Madison.
Yeah, that's impressive.
He was in the top 16 this last year, Sweet 16. And I believe the tournament before he advanced and maybe was top 32.
Does he have a handle online at all or no?
I think it's player 121 XK or something.
Oh yeah, no, he's a good shit. He's good. He's buddies with the kid.
Yes, I was just gonna say.
Yeah, he's great. I love that guy.
Yes, so he's the first seed in Group 2. Seed number 2 is Tecmo Bo, Jeff. Tecmo Bo also went to the top 16 in the last Madison. He's been joking that he wants to get back at James for knocking him out in Madison 12.
Yeah, Bo's good, but you don't want to play him in like WTF and one of those. He's really good at drafting and pencil whipping you on stats.
Yeah, he's a really sharp player, and he's going to be the second seed. I don't know if he wanted to be in Group 1 at all, but he's in Group 2. And then we got Todd Daniels is the third seed. He goes by the handle Immortal. And
yeah, he's good.
He's been a first seed at Madison. I think he's like 24-16 in live tournaments. So he's a stud, and he's going to be third seed. And then there's some controversy revolving the fourth seed here because he's going by Dave the Shark Watsky. Now, I have a lot of reason to believe that the person this is trolling, and that's not their actual name.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to reveal who it is. I'm pretty sure I know who it is, based off the PayPal email. But
give us a hint. Would we know him or no?
I don't know if you guys would know him or not. But once I checked with John about, do you have anything on this guy? Because he told me he played in 11 to 12 tournaments, and he said he had about 75% winning record, and that is his stats based off what I seen on his PayPal email. So I'm pretty sure I know who it is, but I'm gonna let him come to the tournament as Dave the Shark Watsky, but he's still in Group 2.
I'm interested. Color me intrigued.
Yeah, so we got a mystery player in Group 2, but all I could say is he's done well at tournaments, so he's going to be the fourth seed in Group 2. And then Group 1, no surprise to anyone, Regulator is the first seed in the tournament. He's won Madison before. He just won Tecmo Dallas over Joey Gatz. He's been runner-up at Madison quite a bit, and he's looked at as maybe possibly the best player there is. And we had him on last month to talk to him on the Retro Sports Gaming videocast. And then seed number 2 is Mort. Mort is the man, the myth, the legend. He travels all over the country.
The old warrior.
He's won a ton of tournaments this year. I don't even think I could keep count. But he did beat him in Pimpin' Ain't Easily. So, if Pete was playing in this tournament, I don't know how they would seat next to each other. So. Yeah.
I think I've probably already peaked, guys. That was it for me.
And then the third
Dave the Shark is Pete Dave the Shark. That's what I want to know right now.
You got me.
Go on record right now.
I don't even know. Could be. Third seed's gonna be Kyle Flo, the other Kyle in Group 1. Is Flo, he's got Elite 8 at Madison 12. He's won the 2 events that we've done here in Chicago so far, and I think he's pretty excited to take the challenge in Group 1. So I'm looking forward to see what he could do. Maybe get some trash talking going with Flo.
Oh yeah.
And
so at a regular Tecmo spot in Green Bay, which is Bamers, there's actually a shrine where Flo pissed on the fence. He didn't use the restroom, so he decided to piss right on the fence post, and that's actually now a holy shrine for Tecmo. So you need to visit that before you pass away. It's kind of like going to Mecca.
It is. I heard the rats in the area got the clap after climbing the pole.
This is accurate. There actually were squirrels.
Yeah. Oh yeah, squirrels.
Yeah, screen-based squirrels.
So what is there out there? Like flowers around the post, or
You're gonna have to come out and see it.
you just know where it's at, and you're the only guy.
Yeah. Oh, I was there. Yeah.
All right. And then the last seed in Group 1 is actually Lewis. He was on with us on and off. He's upgrading that 56K modem right now, but
He's getting an ISDN line.
yeah, he's taking the train over to Chicago, so he'll be the furthest away from the tournament playing in it. But I think he's going to hang out with his brother Mort, and he actually requested to be in Group 1, but he actually deserves to be in Group 1 anyways. He was top 16 at this last Madison. I think he won Tecmo Columbus. He's a great player, so that's going to be a fun group to watch. Group 1. Can't wait to do it. Can't wait to see it, really. So that's, as of right now, assuming no one else enters into the ring, that's going to be the grouping for the Equalizer tournament on October 14th.
I like it. Sounds good crew.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. So guys, thanks for joining tonight. Do you have anything else that you would like to talk about?
It was really a pleasure to be on. Thanks for having me. Anytime I get a chance to talk Tecmo with some knowledgeable fellows, it's a good time. So really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to chat.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
I was glad to have you on. Newer guy to the tournament scene, and maybe we'll see you up there on some bigger tournaments and winning them, and maybe even your son will win one soon. Who knows?
Give him a few years. Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah.
He does a great job with the color commentary on a lot of the GBLAN tournament videos that we've done, just like Tom also has done. But if you ever have the opportunity to have Ptitteri to get on the mic as a color commentary, Tater 4 Tecmo Super Bowl does a real nice job just breaking the game down for folks in the way that they understand it.
Thanks, buddy.
Anytime.
Yep. And Pete, do you have like a Twitter or anything you guys that you want people to follow? Or
I have a Twitter and I don't want you to follow it. No, I'm silent on social media. I have no social media presence. So if you wanna hang out with me on Discord, I will hang out with you all day. But that's the only place to find me.
Okay, cool.
He's the shark. He's totally the shark.
He's the Shark Watsky. No,
We got
dude,
your eyes on you, Watsky.
it's so funny because I've been thinking about Dave the Shark Watsky, right? And I see like he joined on the forums like maybe 5 days ago or something, and then he's in there talking trash to like Joey Gatz, saying, "Hey," or to Hank the Tank, like you guys bunk bed together.
I saw that.
Yeah. So and then like I'm messing around. I'm like with my daughter. I'm calling her. Her name's Aria. I'm calling her Aria the Shark Watsky. And my wife's like, "Why are you calling her that?" And I'm just like, I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, it's definitely getting into my consciousness, Dave the Shark Watsky. So
That's what he wants. That's what he wants.
yeah. The shark is coming for us. Jaws coming to win the tournament. All right, Troy, you got anything else for us?
No, hey, thanks for having us on. It's always fun.
All right, Nick.
What time's the Equalizer stream so I can live vicariously?
We're gonna start the stream. The tournament's gonna start like 12:30 p.m. Central Time.
Cool.
So
No, nothing much. Just shout out to King Raph for hacking 95 right now. I'm excited for him to do that. So that's all I got.
all right, cool, guys. Thanks for all joining tonight. It's been a pleasure. And if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel. We'll be coming back each month to give you guys some news about retro sports gaming.
And the shark. That's
Shark.
Who's the shark?
Yeah.
I'll be tuning in to listen. I want an update on it.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks.